Hello there, this is Kathie from Craft with Kathie. Thanks for joining me. Project tonight is going to be using the Made from Scratch transfer, which is really cute. 4 different designs. It's an 8.5 by 11 inch transfer, and it can be cut apart into the 4 different separate pieces, so 4 different designs. And I'm going to do them on some decorative cutting boards. And I had just received these cutting boards, did a little staining, did a little bit of painting, and that's what I'm going for. I had a little bleed underneath my painter's tape here, but I'm going to go with that saying about a beautiful thing is never perfect. Well, it's not perfect, but we're going with it anyway. Don't be shy, say hello. We're all friends here. I want you to feel comfortable enough to just jump in and if you have a question, ask it. No problem with that. I will answer as soon as I see it, and hopefully comments will be displaying tonight. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's kind of like the challenge of technology, isn't it? You never know what you're going to get sometimes. So I'm taking this transfer out of its little cellophane envelope. All of our transfers come in these little cellophane envelopes that has instructions on how to use the transfer and also how to clean and care for it. So I'm going to put this aside. If you're not familiar with the product, our transfers are kind of like stencils, but much, much better. They're made out of vinyl, which is the teal, and silkscreen. You're seeing through the silkscreen to the back. They are adhesive backed, reusable, 8 to 12 times or more per transfer. We use chalk paste, which is water soluble, and on a lot of surfaces allows you to reuse the surface and wipe it off and reuse it, or ink for a permanent type of adhesion. And usually we'll use the ink on something like ceramics, like a cup or a mug, or fabric. And with both of those, they have to be heat set. Mugs or ceramics would be in an oven, preferably not an oven you use for food, maybe a toaster oven or something like that. And fabric is either heat set with an iron or with a heat press. Easy peasy though. Same type of application, and pretty much the same cleanup. So I'm going to cut this transfer apart. I still haven't found my transfer trimmers. I've got them around here somewhere. So I usually use those to cut these apart because they have a longer blade and they're like Teflon coated, so the adhesive doesn't stick to the blade of the scissors. But any scissors will do in a pinch. A little bit off the line there, but it's no big deal. Okay. We put these scissors aside. So we have 4 different transfers: sweet on the inside, cook, pray, eat, made from scratch, and leftovers are for quitters. And I think I want to do I thought this through earlier. Okay. I think I want to do the cook, pray, eat on the painted side of my cutting board, and the leftovers are for quitters on the painted side. All I did is I stained these transfers. I stained the cutting boards, and then I painted them with acrylic paint. So no big deal. I just painted one side and sanded them a little bit. And then I'll put these on the other side. And I think I'm going to go with black and white chalk paste. We'll kind of see how things go. If you have any suggestions or any questions, jump on in. I'm always open to ideas. So I'm going to get my paste, open it up, and stir it up. Make sure it's the proper consistency. These are our little foam sealers that should be sitting in the lid of my jar. I'll make sure it stays in there. Woo. And I'm going to stir it up. Our paste should be the consistency between yogurt and sour cream. This is our new formulation, our creamy dreamy. It's kind of whippy. If your paste gets thick, add a spritz of distilled water to it to thin it down. You don't want it dripping, but add distilled water if you need to, if it's gotten thick and you need to thin it down. And if it gets too thin, then just leave the lid off the jar and let it dry out a little bit until it's the appropriate consistency. You always want to use distilled water because tap water may very well have minerals and impurities in it that could interact with the pigments of the paste. And cause your color not to be what you would have expected it to be. So before I use this transfer, it's a brand new transfer, so I want to deliberately apply a little bit of, here I am getting paste all over me already, lint against the back of the transfer to diminish the adhesiveness a little bit. Ooh, and I forgot one thing. Anybody know what I forgot? Can't believe that I forgot. I have it sitting right here, and I forgot to do it. Because this is a non-Chalk Couture surface, and well, I know how it's been treated because I'm the one who treated it. I stained it and sanded it and painted it, but I still want to wax it so that I don't have any chance of pulling up a sliver of wood or something and having that stick to my transfer, because the transfers are adhesive backed, so I wouldn't want to pull up paint or wood or anything on it. So to prevent that or guard against it, I'm going to use a little bit of paste wax. Our paste wax is beautiful. It has no scent to it, so if you're sensitive to smells or anything like that, it's a joy to use. I'm just rubbing a little bit in. Don't have to wait for it to dry or anything. I'm going to rub it in and then rub it right off. And I'm going to go right up to the handle just in case it darkens the wood a little bit, because sometimes wax will do that. And then actually, because I'm going to chalk on both sides, I'm going to flip this cutting board over and wax the other side also. Oops. Gotta watch that sticky transfer over there that I've got sitting adhesive side up. I didn't want to leave it on my fuzzing cloth, because if you leave your transfers on a fuzzing cloth for an extended time, they become a little bit stuck to the fuzzing cloth and then will gather up too much lint. Actually, I did that the other day when I had a bit of an issue with one of my transfers. I grabbed the closest thing to me, which was the fuzzing cloth, to protect it, and ended up having it sitting on there for about 15 minutes, which was too long. So then I had to work at getting the lint off a little bit and pulling the transfer off of the fuzzing cloth also. I got a piece of paint or what I've got on here. Oh, probably the chalk paste from my thumb. Oh, great. Okay. It'll give it a little bit of character. What could I say? So I'll wax the next one when we're ready to do the second one. So I fuzzed this transfer, and I'm going to apply it to my surface. I want to position this try and center it here. And I want to make sure that there are no air bubbles underneath my transfer. I have that a little bit too high. I want to bring it down just to here. Just a little smidge here. Okay. I might have it a little bit too high. I've got that line up there. It's not going to be perfect, but I think I want a little bit more painted above it, kind of make them proportionately even here. So I've smoothed it down. I'm going to grab some chalk paste on my stir stick, apply it to the transfer, and then use a squeegee to just smooth it over the transfer, pushing it through the silk screen onto the surface of the cutting board below. I want to make sure I have full coverage, get everything covered here. Don't want to go off the edge of my transfer. I'm going to gather up any excess paste, smooth it out so I don't have any lines. Put the excess paste back in my jar. No sense wasting it. And then I'm going to lift up my transfer from the bottom. You always want to lift either top, bottom, left, or right. You never want to pull or tug your transfers on the diagonal because our transfers are kind of like fabric and you wouldn't want to stretch them. What do you think? How's that? No weeding. Quick, easy. With really nice definition. I'm going to put this aside to dry and show you how to clean your transfer. Normally I would run this over to the sink or use a water bath, but being that I'm sitting at the table, I'm going to spritz the back of it with a little bit of water, flip it over, the front of it with water, and then because I'm using black paste, which is very highly pigmented, of course it's black, right? I'm going to use one of my board erasers to remove the chalk paste from the top of the transfer, the front of the transfer. And the reason I'm using this is it helps remove the pigmentation. Darker pigmented chalk paste will stain your transfers, but actually there is, it does not affect the usability of the transfer at all. If it's stained, it still works and gives you the same great definition that it would if it wasn't stained. So it's just aesthetics. Clean this up a little bit more. And I'll try not dragging my sleeve in it, right? Oops. I don't know which area I wet. Usually I cut these apart so that I'm working with a smaller piece. But it does a pretty good job of getting the paste off. Depending, like I said, about the pigmentation, the darker pigmented chalk paste, it's not going to get it all off. But this is fine. Just want to make sure you get all the paste off and out of the silk screen. So I'm going to go over the front again with a disinfecting wipe. Never use a baby wipe because baby wipes have emollients in it. to protect a baby's skin, and it's not good for the silk screen or for the vinyl. So I'm going to flip this over and now get the paste out of the back of the silk screen on the back of the transfer. Usually I use a circular motion and just gently scrub the transfer. And it's hard when it's the transfer so small like this and lightweight. It helps to have your hand on it, holding it in place as you work. And I'm sorry, it seems like I'm always in a hurry when I'm on camera to get done with the cleanup and things like that and go on to the actual chalking. Need to slow down a second. And then I go over it once I have all the paste off and wipe it with the disinfecting wipe horizontally and just basically remove any of the lint that is on the back of the transfer. Then I'm going to actually dry this. I'm going to use the other side of my fuzzing cloth. One side is microfiber, one side is terry. We fuzzed on the terry side. Now I'm going to use the microfiber. Lay the transfer on it, sticky side up, fold over the fuzzing cloth, squeeze out the moisture, and put this aside to dry. It doesn't help that I've got a fan blowing on me a little bit right now, which is kind of hard to work with that transfer so it doesn't get blown away. Okay, kind of got it out of the area of the fan, and then give it a few more minutes to dry, and then I'll put the backer on it. So, how was that for a quick, easy project? Our chalk paste goes on liquid, but dries to a hard matte finish. So now I guess the question is, what do I put on the other side? Do I want to do sweet on the inside or made from scratch? What do you think? Maybe the made from scratch to go along with the cook, pray, eat? I think that'll work. And then I'll save the sweet on the inside for the other cutting board. Make sure my surface is clean. And I want to put my black paste aside for when I do the other cutting board. And I'm going to grab my white paste. And a stir stick and stir this up. Make sure this is the proper consistency. It's not drippy. So this looks perfect. So what do I need to do? I need to fuzz the transfer. On my fuzzing cloth. If you don't have a fuzzing cloth, use a towel. You could use like a flannel shirt, a pair of jeans, pretty much anything that has a little bit of lint that you can pick up on it, just to diminish the stickiness a bit. I'm going to flip this over. Smooth it down. Make sure that I don't have any air bubbles. I want to make sure I don't have anything on that little measuring cup at the top. And use my white chalk paste. And basically, same process. Squeegee, a clean squeegee. Pull the chalk paste over the silk screen, making sure you have complete coverage. Remove any excess. Smooth away any lines that you might have, so you have a nice smooth surface. And then lift the transfer up. How cute is that? Obviously, you'll only be able to display, if you're going to hang this on the wall, one side at a time, but this basically, as the mood or the whim strikes you, switch the way you want it to look. So I'm going to clean off this transfer again, spritz the back with water, spritz the front with it. So I'm just cleaning the excess paste off of the front with a board eraser and then a disinfecting wipe. Always want to make sure it's a disinfecting wipe, not a baby wipe, because the moldings in the baby wipe could impact the transfer. And then I'm cleaning off the back with the disinfecting wipe, cleaning my surface, and then I'm coming back and removing any lint from the back of the transfer. I'm going to squeeze out the excess moisture from it and then let it dry. I'm going to put it on the microfiber side of the fuzzing towel, sticky side up, fold it over, put it aside to finish drying. And then I'm going to go back and show you how I put the backer on the first one that we did. This is dry, so dry and sticky, I'm sticking to it. You always want to put the backer onto the transfer, never the transfer onto the backer, because it's hard to hold on to the transfer because it's sticky. So our backing sheet has one side that's shiny, one side that's dull. The shiny side is kind of like a freezer paper texture. That's the side that always goes against the adhesive. So you just line it up, press it down, put it in its cellophane bag. This one's already pretty dry from using the fuzzing cloth. Same thing, shiny side against the adhesive, line it up, press it down. And that's it for care of your transfers. So with good, proper care like this, 8 to 12 uses per transfer, or possibly more. So this was our first project, and we're going to add some little embellishments to this, I think. But let me put it aside so that I've got a little bit more room to work here. And we'll go on to leftovers are for quitters. Did I forget? Yep, I forgot to wax my wood. I'm just going to apply the wax, rub it in, rub it off. This is our finishing paste, or our wax, and it is scent free, so there's no nasty smell using it. So I'm just rubbing it in, and then I'm going to wipe it off, and I'm going to do both sides. These cutting boards are for decorative purposes only, though, because obviously they've been stained and they have acrylic paint on them, so you wouldn't want to use them for actually cutting meat or vegetables or anything like that, as it wouldn't be sanitary. If you're not a member of my VIP group and would like to be privy to specials and additional tutorials and have a lot of fun, just comment VIP below. There's no obligation whatsoever, and I will send you a link so that you can become a member of my VIP group on Facebook. All right, almost done with this, and then we'll add the other two transfers. Using the transfers make things so much simpler. No weeding of vinyl. Just pick it up, fuzz it, and apply the paste, peel and reveal. Easy peasy. I'm just eyeballing it to make sure it's straight. I'm going to use a black chalk paste because I'm on the top of the white acrylic or the cream acrylic paint that I put on here. Push it through the silk screen, make sure it has full coverage, remove any excess, remove any lines. Add the excess back into the jar. How quick and easy is this? If you can butter toast, you can chalk. It really is that simple. I'm just spritzing the transfer with water. I'm going to use the board eraser to remove most of the chalk paste and diminish staining of the transfer because of the highly pigmented black paste. Staining of the transfer in no way affects its usability. It's just more an aesthetic thing. So I'm wiping down the transfer on both sides with a disinfecting cloth, making sure that I remove any of the chalk paste from the silk screen. And then when I have that cleaned up, I'm going to go back over it and remove any of the lint from the adhesive side of the transfer. Then I'm going to use my fuzzing cloth, the microfiber side, to squeeze out any moisture so that it dries a little bit quicker. And then basically set it aside, adhesive side up, and on to the next process. Let me clean up my surface a little bit here, get the paper towels and disinfecting wipes out of the way. Make sure my surface is dry here. And I might as well close up my black paste so that it doesn't dry out on me. Fuzz my transfer. Now you can see there's a lot of open area here. So the more open area, the more silk screen. You want to be a little bit more gentle with it and not twist or pull it. And then we'll make sure that there's no air bubble underneath it when I place it on the cutting board. Yeah, I should have shut that fan off. Now the adhesive, of course, is only on the back of the vinyl, so I'm going to make sure that I don't have an air bubble there. I don't feel any. I don't see anything. I think I'm fine there. if you have an air bubble, the paste doesn't go through as evenly and you won't get as nice of definition. You might get a little blurriness or like a little skip in it, if you will. So you just want to be careful of that. And in general, if I was doing this on a chalkboard, I just erase it and do it again. It's easy. But on wood, a lot of times the chalk paste will stain the pigment. Sometimes you could wash it off and it's fine, especially with waxing it. Another advantage to waxing. Sometimes the wood grabs the pigment before you can get it washed off and you have some staining. If that happens, then really just sand it or paint it, and then you could reuse it. I have a little lifting right here. Of course, it could look like my board is distressed if I wanted it to look like that, but I'm going to see if I can put a little bit of paste back down and get that smoothed in. I might have hit an air bubble there. I'm not quite sure why it did that. No, it lifted up again. I actually look like I have something stuck, or it's dried in my silk screen. That's kind of odd. I'm going to wet my finger and see if I could smooth that out and get it to stick back down. Oh, it's better. It's just not perfect. That'll look like just a little nick in this, what to me looks like a cookie jar. There we go. Whoops, now I've got lifting on the top. I guess with my fan blowing on my surface here, my paste is drying in my silk screen. And that's what's going on. So let me try and shield it a little bit, moisten this and go back over it and see if I could stop the lifting. Note to self, don't let the fan blow on the table while you're working. And I know an overhead fan, but usually I have this pointed a little bit more at me, so I didn't think it would be an issue. Just right there. Let's see. It helps to look at your results as you lift the transfer before you totally lift it off. I think that's fine. Just in case you run into that issue. It gives it a little character. It looks like it's got a couple little chips, a little distressed cookie jar. How sweet is this? So I'm going to put this aside, close up my white paste, clean up my transfer, and my okay, we're going to run through this a little quicker, just cleaning off the paste from the transfer, both sides, using the disinfecting wipe and a little bit of water. Then when I get the chalk paste out of the silk screen on the adhesive side, I'm going to come back over it and remove the lint and then dry it on my fuzzing cloth and set it aside to dry. And then put the backing on this one and the one that's above it that's been set aside to dry. This is a nice little project actually for even a newbie to try, because the transfers themselves, whereas the whole piece is 8.5 by 11, when you cut it into 4 smaller pieces, they're not difficult to handle or anything. And if you do it on something other than wood and make a mistake like on chalkboard or dry erase or whatever, or glass or metal, it's easy to just wipe it up and fix it. As you could just wipe off the paste and then redo it. Great for a beginner. I was looking for something a little bit different from buffalo plaid. I think a buffalo plaid ribbon would be nice on this though also. my buffalo plaid is really thick, so I just thought, let me try and find something a little bit thinner that would work. And I have this black polka dot and this top kind of I don't know what I would say this is made from. But I thought they'd be a nice combo. For this one, I'm just going to add a little bit of greenery and some twine. This isn't quite like jute. I mean, it is a little bit. I use this for making beaded garlands and things like that, but it's not as hairy as jute, and I didn't like the idea of kind of like the jute for something in the kitchen. It's a little bit, I don't know, messy, I would think. So, just gonna wind this around. I was going to do a bow, but if I want a bow or not, I guess I could. Can't quite see what I'm doing here. There we go. I might be making this a little bit too long. We'll find out. And I'm not going to do a bow or anything, just a knot. I want it to look kind of casual, not even a messy bow. I just want the combo of the ribbons. To basically accent the board and the colors of our paste. I need an extra finger here. Unruly ribbon. There we go. Ribbon is a little bit stiff, so it's a little bit of a challenge here to make a nice knot. Oops, I'm not pulling something. Here we go. There we go. So there you have it. 2 cutting boards, 4 different sayings, and a little bit of embellishment. What do you think? Hey Kathy, how you doing? Thanks so much for watching. I surely do appreciate it. See you soon.